Is it worth being a YouTuber in 2023? My simple answer is yes and no. I could explain. So basically, I think, in my personal opinion, that any time is better than any other time. Now, I don't know. I feel like depending on how you see it, it's kind of different. If you see it as an income source, although it's kind of looked down upon by just like, I guess, society in general. You could see it as like, oh yeah, if you're doing it just for the money, then you shouldn't be doing it at all. But it's one of the reasons that a lot of people start, like they just don't have anything financial and people want to make money off of it, which is fair. But if that's the case, then yeah, I think it's definitely got a lot of upside. But I know one thing that a lot of people forget is it's still a creative platform. You can't, to a point, there will always be a bit of your personality that would need to be there for it to be interesting. And if all you worry about is the money, chances are you're gonna get burnt out of it because there is a creative toll. And I feel like that's not talked about very often. But going back onto more of the general scheme of things, yeah, I think it's definitely worth being one this year as it was last year. But I think a nice way of seeing it is it's better now than next year, right? Now would be a better time to get into it than a year from now, where the landscape changes, the content norms change. And I think a really good example of this would be, simply put, if you were to look back on videos, if you were to look back on like old recordings, you'll come to see that, back then content wasn't that good in the first place. And, but it still got views, when people were able to just post stuff that's 100% not edited, kind of like this video if you think about it. They'd be able to get away with it, and they wouldn't need too much structure, they wouldn't need too much of a story. All they need is their audience and their subscribers. But nowadays it's shifted from that into more of a strange landscape. I made a video pretty recently about subscribers, if you guys want to check that out. It's a commentary styled video just like this one. But yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, talking about like whether or not subscribers even matter anymore, but that's a whole different topic. But yeah, I think an interesting thing now would be the fact that it's a time when you as a creator, if you make good, decent quality stuff and are pretty decent or even okay at storytelling, you can blow up. You can get these numbers and you could start building your community quite easily, as opposed to before, when that normally wasn't like a thing that people could do. So I find that really interesting, just the fact that you're able to create a community without having to need some huge fan base, since it's shifted from you having a lot of subscribers to you just posting good content. And that's kind of a good thing on the side of new creators, because now you're on somewhat, not exactly, but somewhat on an equal playing field to someone else. The chance of you posting a video and it getting 1 million is definitely not guaranteed, but I mean, depending on the work you put in, if you just keep at it, eventually, as long as you're improving every video and you're keeping an eye out on your niche and all that stuff, you'll eventually hit a point where you can hit those type of numbers without the need of anyone else. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth doing, regardless of when. So regardless of when you even see this video, it might not even be 2023 anymore, you feel me? But it's still worth trying, because you're never gonna know if it'll work unless you try. That's kind of like, I'd say, the first step of being a creator, is just putting something out there and seeing how it does, and then learn from that. right? Like a month from now, if you posted like 4 videos, you'll come to notice if you rewatch the first video and you really look into it, you're gonna probably be like, oh my god, what was I posting? This thing is terrible. Like, who in their right mind would even watch this thing? And it's the same with me, like, but a bit more of a grand scheme of things. I would look back at like old videos of mine that would get like 200, 300,000 views. I'd watch it over and I'm like, ew. You guys considered this good content? You let this slide? It's crazy. But yeah. And so I think now's a better time than ever, right? A year from now, you're gonna say the same thing if you don't make any content right now. So if content is genuinely something you want to try, do it. If you're still kind of iffy on it, do it anyways and see how you feel after actually doing it, you know? Actually making content. Because if you just don't make content, you're not even going to know what it feels like to make content. So how would you judge if it's something for you or not if you don't make content to try? But yeah. That's my biggest thing, you know, it's just like, do it, you know? If you're considering doing content, do it then. Nothing's stopping you. The only thing stopping you is you. So, it's like, just do it. Gotta go southwest for this. But yeah, literally, the only thing stopping you is you. So, it's like, you might as well just try whatever it is you want to try. But there are reasons I guess people could say maybe it's not worth it anymore. Obviously, the content scheme of things have been just glittered with these big creators and sprayed on with all these cool edits and having like companies. I know the Mr. Beastification of things has really put off some people because they're like, oh my god, I need all this editing, all this production, and I need money? You don't actually need all that stuff. It's actually more optional than it is required. Now it's cool that he's spending a lot of money on his videos, that he's, you know, doing all this stuff, and then the philanthropy stuff is pretty cool too, but it's like, you don't need to do that. There's tons of creators that haven't done a single thing like that. You know, and an example of that, not even in the Minecraft scene, but in like the Roblox scene and stuff, people like Flamingo, like you don't see them spending millions of dollars on videos. You see them spending nothing, just time on videos. And you know, if you watch any of his older stuff, you'll come to realize it's not a lot of editing going on there. And that's for a very, very specific reason, and it's just his content, you know, like the value of his content is not in the quality, it's more of his personality that's shining there. And I think that's something saved for another video, talking about, you know, quantity versus quality, or like, what is quality? Like, everyone throws that word around, oh, make quality content, but nobody's like, this is exactly what quality means until you see it, you know? And everyone has different definitions of, I guess, what quality even looks like. So it's like, it's messy. It's not A to B, it's like A, B, C, D, you know? There's so many other little pit stops that nobody really talks about. But anywho, yeah, I still think now is a better time than ever to really just get in the game, see where you can go with it, you know what I mean, and just have fun. It's supposed to be, it's never not supposed to be fun. You have to enjoy the content you make, and I enjoy the content, the Civ stuff that I've been doing on my main channel. And in this second channel of mine, that's where you're watching this video, by the way, is where sometimes I shitpost, or sometimes I just rant about stuff like this and make little commentary videos about my thoughts. So it's like, I also enjoy this. I also enjoy no editing effort whatsoever, but there's content value about the stuff I talk about, and I wanted to try it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'm good at it, if I'm bad at it, if I'm just terrible at it, if I should stop, but I started, right? I took the first step, which is just making a piece of content, throwing it out there, see if it actually like helps anybody, if it's like worth their time. That's cool. Me just talking for like a straight whatever about something that I have on my mind and other creators just like me might have on theirs. So yeah, whatever it is, just try it. You're gonna regret not trying it. You're gonna regret not trying to do whatever it is you're doing. And that's with anything. That's not even with just like YouTube alone. That's with like a hobby. That's with an instrument. That's with like a meetup with your friends type of thing. That's literally, oh my god, I just realized. Okay. That's literally like, it's with anything and everything. You're just gonna miss out on whatever it is you don't do. But then again, I guess the counter argument to that would be you're also missing out on what you could have done in the time you would have spent doing content. So again, content is not a guaranteed thing. Just kind of like if you want to become a singer and you start practicing your singing, it's not gonna guarantee that you're gonna become a singer. No, I mean, you're gonna become a singer, just not a big singer. You know, there's so many other factors to it. But yeah, still though, I think for anyone, even if you don't consider yourself a creative person, even if you don't consider yourself a creator or anything like that, like you haven't given yourself that official title of being someone that does this stuff, it's still worth it. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird. I'm a bit sick at the moment. But, you know, instead of resting my voice, I decided to make a commentary video while I play survival and look for treasure that I just can't seem to find, which is really aggravating, but that's okay. I honestly might just give up on this treasure and start exploring this little island. Anywho. Another thing that I also wanted to mention is the fact that on like the how to kind of get into it, I would say the 3 easiest steps, just entry level stuff, is figure out what you want to do, and if you don't know what you want to do, figure out a game or something you want to play and look at what other people are doing, and I wouldn't say copy them, but get inspiration. It's, you know, there's a lot of challenges that get introduced, and obviously, since, you know, 1, I'm playing Minecraft, 2, my main channel is literally Minecraft, I could say from personal experience that, you know, in my niche there are challenges like the Minecraft butt challenges, and then there's a twist like Minecraft 100 days. Try those challenges. It's okay if you copy like a concept or something, just put your own twist on it, you know, like the lava is rising challenge. That was pretty big. It was really cool to see other creators do their own versions of that and seeing if they could survive or not. That was cool, you know. There's no issues with that. But yeah, and even if you're not in the scheme of like, not scheme, that's a horrible word to use. Even if you're not interested in copying, per se, or putting your twist on something that someone else already made, create something. Like, you could use a trend format, like I survived 100 days, and then think of something of your own. Think of something cool and make sure no one's done it before, and then post it like that. That also works just as fine. It's just a bit harder because, you know, the internet's just filled with a bunch of recycled stuff from previous pieces of content found elsewhere. But yeah, there's no harm in it whatsoever, and I think that's a really good place to start. As I tell most of my YouTuber friends that ask me for advice, I tell them to start like how I did, even though I started like 1-2 years ago. The way I got to where I'm at with my main channel, which is 260,000 subscribers now, which is crazy, by the way. I simply just tried a bunch of trends, failed a bunch. The whole game is failing. Like, you're supposed to fail. If you're not failing, then you either got stupidly lucky, or you're doing pretty decent. Like, whatever you're doing right. And if you just keep doing whatever it is you're doing while slowly improving video by video, you'll reach a point of, you know, just a position where you're able to grow, probably exponentially even. Like I would go that far, yeah. But yeah, I know especially around this time, things like gaming videos, like bare bone gaming videos I'm talking about, because you know, everybody plays a bunch of games, but I think there's a very big common misconception that creating content is literally just playing video games and posting it. Mm-mm. It's the same thing with streaming. Like people really look at streaming and go like, "Oh, he's just playing a video game." He's also entertaining. I feel like that aspect of being entertaining and being engaging and being an interesting person and having, you know, your own personality that you're not like afraid to really, I guess, is afraid the right word? I guess so. Afraid to showcase. Those are the things that people seem to really undermine, because they're just like, oh, he's just playing a video game. No, bruh. There's time and effort that got put into that. If they do voiceovers, there's scripting, music choice, and just straight up storytelling, straight up like, you know, context, and then the rising action, climax, and all of this other stuff. He's telling you the story of whatever it is the video's about. It's not just like, you know, maybe YouTube in the past was like, oh yeah, he's literally just playing video games with no story and it's just a funny moments montage, which is fine if that's the content you're talking about. But yeah, it's not just that. You can't just hop into a game and start recording with no plan and expect to get views from it, because I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, nobody's gonna watch. I wouldn't watch that if that's all the person was doing. Hell no. You know, I feel like it's a little bit more lenient with streaming, but you'll come to notice even with streaming, the smaller end of creators are the ones that just go live and do a whole lot of nothing. The more you dig into like the more newer streamers, kind of I guess like adrienss, Speed, Kai Sanat, you'll notice that they do stuff on their streams that are clippable, right? That are like clippable things. And even if you make clippable things, it doesn't even guarantee you even after that, but they treat their streams as if they were like hour-long videos. So there's a concept, there's an interest, there's a pull for viewers to stay, as opposed to just like any other smaller streamer, which is just streaming their video game. And they're like, okay, let's clock into the stream, let's play some video games, have a fun time, which is fine, by the way. I'm not against that. I feel like regardless of how big you are, you're still creating content at the end of the day, and if that's the content you want to create, go for it. But I feel like the grand scheme of things with these creator sites like Twitch and YouTube, they're leaning towards AVD, CTR, watch time, those kind of things. And you can't get that if you're just spewing out content that has no plan. Unless you're just naturally a really good entertainer, then by all means, right? If you're just really funny or like enjoyable to hang out with, then go for it. Yeah, that works for some people. But the majority of people, I'd say, they're just not like that. Some think they're like that, but I don't know. It's a weird area. Interesting though. Interesting to talk about for sure. But yeah, just something to kind of keep in mind. But yeah, anywho, the way I started in specific was like via Twitch. I started with YouTube, but I got no results. Went to Twitch, got results, then went to YouTube. Another thing, they don't transfer very well, if you guys didn't know. Like, transferring one audience to another audience is really difficult, especially if the reason you blew up is because of one video or like a shout out or something. They tend not to go to every single social of yours, and that's okay. Like, that's not really something you need, but it is something you definitely want, because you know, at the end of the day, I feel like most people are trying to build up a community rather than just numbers on a screen that'll just leave the next day and just forget about you. So yeah, and that's completely fine. Like, it's a fine way of thinking about it. And I think that's what people should strive for a little bit more, as opposed to this whole,
oh, let me finesse the algorithm, let me figure out what's the easiest way to get views. And don't get me wrong, that works. I'm not saying that's not something that works anymore. It's just at some point, it's either you get big enough to the point where you can start slapping your personality onto the algorithm based videos, or it's just like you're gonna make it, you're not gonna like it that much, and then all of a sudden, oh, it's turning night, I should probably sleep. And then all of a sudden you have, like, you know, you got a bit of numbers and stuff, but then they leave. They don't bat an eye when you post something that's not within your niche or within the challenge you blew up from. And that's like more of a problem for people that are already in the scene, because they have an issue with that stuff too. I think their issue lies within, after you get a couple views, regardless of if it's a couple thousand, a couple million, it don't matter, bruh. The thing that matters is the fact that you're in a position, and some people don't know how big of a community they really have. And it's hard to say, like, you can't just make a Discord server, invite the people there into your Discord server, and call them community members, because then, you know, 99% of the people in your Discord server are just going to mute it, especially if you add everyone. So at that point, how can you tell? I don't know. Gonna keep it a stack with you. I have no idea. But I guess a good way to tell is like engagement, comments, people actually talking to you rather than just you know, viewing your video, calling it a day. It's people that actually engage with your content, that want to be a part of whatever you're doing, that type of stuff. So I guess that's a good way to base it off of. And it's not a horrible way by all means. Like, I think everyone should, you know, use a method like that, but it also isn't a perfect method. There are a lot of flaws to using that as a metric, because then what happens to the people that don't have anything to say? You know, you can be a part of someone's communities. Like, it's the same with me, you know, I watch my own set of content creators that I like to watch, and I'd say I'm a really deep part of some people's communities, but I've never commented on any of their stuff, and I never plan to. Alright, this skeleton is about to murk me. But yeah, there's a bunch of communities. I know some people I can mention are like Domix. I've never commented on a Domix video, but I'd like to say I'm part of this community, you know? Do I engage that much? No. Do I watch every one of his videos? Yeah. So, you know, it's like that. Like, I've never, or I've yet to find a reason to actually comment anything. It's more of like, I'm gonna watch your video, enjoy it, whatever you do, I'll watch. Whatever you pump out, I'll watch. And it's just like, I follow him on Twitter, I'm in his Discord, but I've never commented. So, you know, there's different people. Like, that being said, just to give you guys perspective, I've only ever commented on people I consider friends. I don't know Domix. You don't know me. We don't know each other, so it's like, why would I comment? You know, well, like, what am I gonna say? I'm like, oh, great video. Like, no, bro. But yeah, it's just, I guess, a little something you can put into perspective there. There are different types of people, and I think I need to acknowledge that there's probably some out there that watch my stuff and just never comment, because, okay, I made another crafting table. What would they even comment in the first place? Especially with me doing challenges that I complete, there's nothing to really comment about. So I guess think about that, right? You as a person, even like you as a creator, what can a creator do to convince you to reply, to convince you to say anything in a comment section? Like, what gets you to say something? And then try applying that to your own content. And it's kind of interesting because I need to apply that same exact thing I just mentioned into my own stuff. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. I'm kind of perplexed about it myself. I don't really know how to go about it at all. Neither did I ever think I'd have to, but it is something that is there and it's apparent and it should be talked about. And so yeah, here I am talking about it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess like if you had a thing where it was like, oh, I don't know. I was gonna say giveaway, but no, it's just like they're not really people within. I mean, some of them will be, but a lot of them will probably just be people that are passerbys and just like, oh, okay, so you're giving a giveaway. I want to comment and be a part of the giveaway. I don't think it works like that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe telling them that you read every comment or like asking them for suggestions might be a good idea. Because people like to 3 creepers are crazy. Oh my god. But yeah, maybe asking them for suggestions on a series or a project you're really passionate about. And just the goal here is to make them feel like it is a community rather than just you a creator and then them the consumer. You really want it to feel like there's a conversation going on some way, shape, or form. And that I feel like is a really big driving factor to how this would go. So yeah, it's something I need to do as well myself. So it's more just like spitting facts, but I'm not using the facts myself. But yeah, I think I might start doing that though. Just like asking for suggestions, whether it's a build or I don't know. Let's see. Because I do challenges and it's kind of hard to see, especially if it's like 100 days or something. It's like you can't just ask them what 100 days you should do next. Well, you can, but the chances of like an average viewer or an average community member even having an idea is a bit, much. You're asking them a bit much to think of your video idea for you. I don't know. That feels kind of off. Especially because they're not creators, right? They're not going to give you creator answers, and it's just you're not going to be able to bounce off of that because it's like they're about to give you the most atrocious thing, like 100 days in, I don't know, like in the woods. Like they're about to give you something like that, and then you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that, Anyways, I got really off topic, but yeah. Anywho, in conclusion, I still think now's a better time as any to start creating and start posting on YouTube or doing anything within the content sphere and just give it a try. If you don't like it, you can just back out. Like, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's holding you accountable to posting. And yeah, it's just, there's nothing to lose. You just do it. If you dislike it or hate it, don't do it anymore. But if you like it, keep going at it. And then if you're in a situation where it's like, oh, should I do it? Is it worth it? I don't know. Look at your values. That's the main thing. If you got into it for money and if you're not making money, then I don't know. So-so, 50-50. But if you got into it for as a passion or like you just like making content or telling stories, then yeah, screw it. Just keep doing it. I can't stress it enough. Like, people miss out on the opportunities to do this stuff forever, and the only thing stopping them is themselves. So do it. Okay, I go now. Bye.